Let's talk about the Houston Texans. This is such a fascinating case study of an NFL team because, God, there are so many positive things about the Texans, and there are so many questionable aspects of who this team is and what they want to become. And those two things clash. There's some real deficits that I'm not sure, particularly in one category, I know that they haven't improved at all, and yet the potential is there, right? They have the quarterback. We saw what C.J. Stroud did in his rookie quarterback campaign 2 seasons ago. Last season, everybody was pretty high on the Texans. They had a high win total, obviously expected to win the AFC South. They should be every year. But I thought that the expectations were a little too high. That turned out to be right. That being said, it's still there, right? C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryan's a solid coach, a defensive-minded coach, which is a good tandem usually with a great quarterback. Talent throughout their roster. So let's get more into it here. But these Houston Texans are, I hope, not going to be a story of constant potential without achieving it. And again, only one team can win the Super Bowl every year, right? C.J. Stroud's career, maybe 15 more seasons if he's fortunate, right? So do the Houston Texans get one in those 15 years? Do they hang on to C.J. Stroud? Like, there's so many questions, obviously, over the long term. We're concerned about the 2025 season and the way this team looks. So let's go over what they did last season a little bit here. Offensively, they were truly mediocre across the board, 28th in the red zone, bottom three in sacks allowed, 274 dropbacks under pressure, with a 75.9 deep PFF passing grade as Pro Football Focus. But both of those things ranked 29th in the NFL. So pressure on C.J. Stroud was a huge problem. Did not throw the ball deep effectively very often. They're also bottom four in penalties, a lot of penalties, and average in granular passing and rushing categories. So, C.J. Stroud alone has a high rating as a quarterback, even under pressure, what he's able to do. And obviously, they have Nico Collins. They have a talented group of wide receivers. Now, Joe Mixon is a little banged up right now. We're not sure if their running back is going to start the season healthy. We'll see what happens there. So there's some question marks for sure. But it's the protection of C.J. Stroud that's been a huge problem. And over the offseason, they let Laramie Tunsil go, right, into free agency. So he's no longer with the team, their best offensive lineman and all-pro tackle. So now, week to week, we're really going to have to keep our eyes on the matchup between the Texans' offensive line against whatever defense they face. And last season, it was not pretty. And I know that they drafted a little bit of depth, but this is not a team that did a lot to improve in that category. And they signed a guy. I don't have the roster in front of me. Tomlinson, I think, Laken Tomlinson. They signed a guy that's questionable, right? Never really proven as a successful offensive lineman in the NFL. So just a lot of question marks for an offense that at quarterback and in the talent positions, they have a lot of potential. But are they going to reach that potential if they can't stay in the field, if they're relying too much on defense and their defense is too much out in the field, and then they start to face more and more deficits in these games against better and better offenses in the NFL, which is really happening across almost all divisions of the National Football League. So the Houston Texans, they're at the top right now. They're expected to win this division, but they're kind of playing with fire a little bit here. And the current that I'm going to repeat throughout this preview is that I'm just a little concerned that D'Amico Ryans, as a defensive-minded guy, I think a player's coach, somebody they respect, I'm concerned that he doesn't really know what he's doing offensively. And now they're bringing in new offensive coordinator Nick Callie. Callie? Don't know. Don't really know the guy. I know that he comes from a New England and Rams coaching background, so good offensive minds. He worked with, Sean McVay over there with the Rams most recently. And, of course, members of the Sean McVay tree have become successful sometimes. But now this is like kind of later down the coaching tree, this hiring of Nick Caley. I'm going to say Caley. Maybe it's Callie. I don't know. But it's his first time as an offensive coordinator. Right now, apparently, CJ Stroud is struggling with the offense. As a team, they're not finding a lot of chemistry and rhythm just yet. So there are some concerns still with this Houston Texans offense. One really positive thing is wide receiver Jaden Higgins from Ohio State, who they picked up, just could be another great option. He's showing great things in training camp. He's standing out to coaches. So the wide receiver room is deep. CJ Stroud is really good, but we'll see how formidable their offensive line is. We'll see how formidable their new offensive coordinator is. Their defense kept them in many games last season, top 10 in major categories, exceptional against the pass, first in opponent completion percentage, first in interceptions, pretty terrible at penalties as well. So just across the board, again, penalties, it's not a luck thing, but kind of could be in certain situations, right? Like maybe the ref just sees a few more things. They're an aggressive defense, so they need to peel back and show more discipline on both sides of the ball. But that's really the only negative in this defense. They got studs on their defensive line, Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson Jr. They're very deep on their defensive line, arguably one of the deepest in the NFL. They also acquired safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles. Top talent over there, great acquisition. The cornerbacks are studs, right? Derek Stingley Jr. So they have guys, right? Like they have everyone who you would want on defense at all three levels, and their defense can keep them in games. But if their offense starts to hum, this is a team that immediately becomes a lot more dangerous. Their schedule, I don't think it's as hard as some pundits and analysts say it is, but I do think it's medium hard. It's above average as far as difficulty goes. I got 5 expected wins. Their division is a big TBD, but I don't see any real issues there. Houston still has the best quarterback and the best defense in their division from where I stand by far. I don't like that Daniel Jones is probably going to start for the Colts. I know what that's like as a Giants fan. We'll see how improved Jacksonville is, but I wouldn't count on anything there either. So, this is a AFC South that is still open for someone to surpass Houston, but I don't see it. The Titans, forget about it, right? I mean, Cam Ward, I think he's a good quarterback for the future, but they have a lot of work to do. So their division is a big TBD still, but I still think that they win their division overall, and that's where a lot of their wins are going to come from, particularly against Indianapolis and Tennessee. We'll see what happens in Jacksonville, but I would suspect, they'll still be the favorite in those matchups unless something changes, and I expect them to win, 4 to 6 games in their division. So that already, even though it's a really hard schedule, it puts them in a really good place for the playoffs. Now, very, very tough non-divisional opponents: the Rams, the Bucks, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Broncos, the Bills, and the Chiefs. So as you can see, they're obviously facing the AFC West this season. Not easy. KC and Denver in there is not easy. Vegas and Arizona might not be as easy either. Overall, I give them a rating of 79. They're on that precipice of becoming a very good team, but I just have them as kind of a good team right now. This could easily be like a 76 or a 77. I'm giving them a little bit of leeway here because I believe in CJ Stroud. I believe in the talent of their offense. But again, does this administration know what they're doing offensively at all for us to believe that these changes that they've made, bringing in a guy that they believe in as an offensive lineman, believing in the development of their other young offensive linemen, bringing in this new offensive coordinator, I can't say that I trust that those things are going to mean success for this offense. Success will come with CJ Stroud in some degree. Again, great overall grades in his quarterback ability and what he made happen last season. But the kid can only take so much punishment. Don't want to see him injured. And if CJ Stroud goes down, this whole team goes down. I don't care how good their defense is. You got to score points in this league. And I don't trust their backups, to say the least. Strong lean to under 9.5 on their win total this season, but I still think that they could win their division. This could easily be an 8-9 division win for some team. Winning their division is still slight plus money at most shops. I saw it plus 105 at DraftKings. I do think that's pretty good value. It's not something that I'm going to take. If Indianapolis or Jacksonville somehow finds a way to really improve, then they are severely at risk because of their weaknesses on offense. This will be a very, very good defense. It's a very good defense to take on your fantasy leagues, things like that, because they're going to depend on it most likely again. Again, though, CJ Stroud, I like the coach, just don't know about his offensive prowess. But as far as a leader goes, they have the ingredients to win, right? I talk about that coach quarterback dynamic and then defense. If you got that, you can win in the NFL. You can win in the playoffs as well. But we see some of these elite rosters that are getting composed across the league right now. CJ Stroud and the Texans are going to have to get past teams like Denver. Kansas City is still pretty good. Buffalo, Baltimore. I mean, uh, these are not slouches, right? So these are great rosters across their roster, and most of them have really great protection on their offensive line too. Their offensive line for any team, that is the most important thing besides quarterback and coach, in my opinion. You have to protect that passing game. So under a 9.5 is where I lean. I still lean on them winning their division as well. And I just hope that the operation turns out to be more of a success than it looks like it will be from here. Up next is the Indianapolis Colts.